The problem that Garden is trying to solve is to help enable Bitcoin holders to explore all the opportunities in DeFi as easily as possible. Um, and it does that using a trustless Bitcoin bridge. That is what technical description of what Garden is, which you explained very nicely just a little. Yeah.
Yo, GM, today I'm joined by the one and only the dude, CMO of Garden Finance, a cross-chain protocol that lets you swap between Bitcoin, EVM, and non-EVM chains in 40 seconds or less. Garden's been flying under the radar but processing serious volume, all built on intent-based architecture that separates custody from execution for real trustlessness. This is BlockHunters Voices, the podcast for cool kids from the blockchain space. I'm Joachim Buji, your host. The dude abides. Welcome, man. Nice to meet you.
Likewise, nice meeting you, man.
Let's start from the beginning because I want to know a little bit about your personal journey. This is your first time in crypto. Were you doing anything else? And how did you end up working at the Garden as a CMO?
Yeah, definitely. So, crypto is not my first foray into work. I'm a robotics engineer by education, and I worked at a company called MathWorks before. It's my Pep2 journey, basically. MathWorks is like creates engineering software for a lot of projects, and I was part of the robotics and led a sensors team there. Worked for a couple of years, getting into COVID, and I think during COVID I was really getting bored with the 9 to 5 kind of corporate life. I really needed something that's a bit more exciting. And COVID, I think it's that time where everyone got pushed to the extremes, where people were like, "Oh, are we going to live through this and all that?" And I really wanted to do something crazy in life. So that's when I decided to jump into crypto. And after that, the first project I worked was it's a company called Keep It Out. I worked as a comms intern there, helping out on the content side, also on the community side. It was a MEV capturing project. Very deep tech for my first intro into crypto, but it was good. Like kind of jumping into the deep end of the space really helped me understand a lot of things very quickly. And yeah, after that, started getting into Bitcoin interoperability. I started working with a team at Rent Protocol, and with the same team, we decided to start Garden, and yeah, I've been working with these guys ever since.
And for the folks out there hearing about Garden for the first time, how would you explain what it is and what problem it solves today?
Yeah, I think if I have to explain it at the simplest level, the problem that Garden is trying to solve is to help enable Bitcoin holders to explore all the opportunities in DeFi as easily as possible. Um, and it does that using a trustless Bitcoin bridge. That is what technical description of what Garden is, which you explained very nicely just a little. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the beauty with Bitcoin right now because if you look in the past, I don't know, 3 or 4 years at least, you couldn't do anything with Bitcoin, right? It just was dormant. It just a max you could do was invest in Bitcoin, and just wait
Exactly.
for the price to go up or the price to go down and buy more. But now you have a lot of opportunities out there, so I'm glad that there are projects like Garden, where you can enter the BTC-Fi rabbit hole.
Yeah.
So you could say Garden is described as one of the fastest Bitcoin bridge with under 30 seconds swap time. What architecture decisions were made this speed possible?
Yeah, so it's not always going to be 30 seconds. So when you're moving from Bitcoin L1 chain to any other chain, any asset, it takes about one block. So it's one confirmation. So that's averages around 9 to 10 minutes. And when you're moving from any chain back to Bitcoin, it's going to take maximum 30 seconds. So sometimes it's like 50 to 30 seconds, somewhere in that range. So getting out of Bitcoin takes around one confirmation. Getting back is like extremely quick. So that's great for a lot of Bitcoiners because the one thing they're always worried about is how quickly can we go back to BTC-L1 and just get my assets back into the cold wallet, right? Because that's where people feel the most secure. Um, and answering your question around what we've done to make it so is few changes. One is traditionally a lot of Bitcoin bridges are custodial in nature. So there is either a network, SMPC network, or a network of validators, or a multi-sig, or someone on an island having the private keys. So, and as you can clearly see, with all over the years, that's a big risk. So many hacks, and if you even take a look at rec.io, most of the funds that was hacked is coming from bridge hacks, and that tells a story. It's a major risk, and that is one risk that Garden wants to eliminate. And that's why we use atomic swaps. It's a way of peer-to-peer swaps where the settlement happens directly between user and the counterparty. And the counterparty in Garden's case is a solver, which is why we're an intent solver mechanism where the user, when you once he creates an order, it goes into an order book, and a network of solvers on the other side, you know, get to fight for the order types, right? Auction for it, and then once the order is matched with the solver, the user and the solver just swap the asset between each other, and it's done using a hash time lock contract. So the settlement always happens on chain. So there is Garden doesn't put itself as some kind of a mediator in between during the settlement of assets, and this asset swap is completely peer-to-peer, happens through Bitcoin scripts on Bitcoin chain and swap smart contracts on any other EVM chain or non-EVM chain. And the word atomic, when I call it atomic swap, it means that either the swap happens or it doesn't. So the user is never in loss of custody of their asset. So either the swap happens and the user gets the other asset, or the swap never happens and the user is always in control of their assets. And that's basically why we call it an atomic swap. And this helps in few ways because we've removed a lot of moving parts in between. There's a lot of time that is saved because there is no validators or multisig that you have to interact with for security. And yeah, and I think that's majorly how we were able to, make the timing cut down a lot. And we also have a zero confirmation mechanism that we've built in house that runs in the solvers to make sure that, when you're moving from another chain to Bitcoin, you don't have to wait for the confirmation. You can straight away start using the asset. Yeah,
Yeah, I feel like that's the issue always with bridges because people are afraid that they're gonna lose custody over their funds in some way. So I think that is those atomic swaps really do the trick because especially when you want to bridge like Bitcoin, nobody wants to lose their Bitcoin. So
exactly.
and
Yes.
how exactly do you separate custody and execution in a way that enhances user security and trustlessness?
Yeah. So the off-chain part in Garden is the order matching, right? Where a user comes and creates an order, and then it is relayed to a network of solvers where they decide if they want to, be a counterparty here, and addition is made, like I explained before. That is the only off-chain part, and user funds are put into a contract at the settlement level with a counterparty or the solver. That is the only time when they are interacting with something, and that is done on chain. Garden is never involved in that level, so Garden never takes custody of the asset. And even during the settlement, user and the solver deposit assets into HTLC contracts, which are only refundable or redeemable by the solver or the user. It cannot be accessed by anyone else. As a result, we've made sure that user is never at risk of losing their funds at any point during the settlement process.
And right now, Garden supports bridges from EVM chains, non-EVM chains, and
Yeah.
Bitcoin. But you recently added support for StarGnet, Unichain. Korn. I know SVM is all on your roadmap. Also,
Yes.
can you tell me what kind of challenges did each of these integrations present? I mean, I would only imagine for every integration something different you have to do.
Yeah. So EVM, I think, is the easiest because we've already done Ethereum and a few other EVM chains. And ever since we launched Active a few months back, our main intent was actually to try and get into more non-EVM chains because I think those are a little harder to crack for Bitcoin bridges. And with atomic swaps, the way we've cracked on the engineering side, we were able to deploy onto non-EVM chains. For example, we recently even finished our contracts on Sui. They're currently just undergone audit. Same with StarGnet, where I think there is a completely different language that we have to understand to be able to deploy these smart contracts. It is definitely challenging and takes time. I think it took about a month to crack StarkNet's contract, but I think we have a really good team that is able to crack these coding languages when we are trying to get into non-EVM chains.
But are people actually using StarNet? Do you see some kind of volumes out there?
I think it's early stages. StarkNet is really focusing on a push for Bitcoin this year. I think that's one thing that we wanted to capitalize on and get in early and start working on a few integrations. For example, we are in chats with a few wallets already that are supporting StarkNet, where Garden kind of becomes a bridge abstracted into the wallet itself, so people can easily move from BTC L1 to StarkNet. I think they're currently chatting with Xverse and a few other wallets as well. So I think this is currently in a stage of preparing for the big push, and I think StarkNet is doing a really good job. They were very proactive when they were chatting with us in terms of any help we needed to set things up, and also get us in touch with all the wallets that they're bringing on board, so that Garden is supported on all these wallets natively, so that they can meet the user directly where they are instead of get kind of funneling them toward a bridge where they can swap and all that. So I think you will be seeing more activity around Bitcoin happening in Stockton soon.
That's a good alpha. I didn't expect that answer, to be honest. I mean, Bitcoin on StarNet seems so off. But happy. I mean, I'm at the end of the day, I'm always happy if I can see chains actually getting traction, because that means crypto, in a broader sense, gets more traction. So
Yeah.
I'm really happy that you guys could be like the portal from Bitcoin to StarNet. In terms of volumes, I know that in May alone you did like 10 BTC total volume limit. I mean, I want to know, are there any extra challenges when you can see these kind of volumes? Do you need to scale in some way to meet this demand?
Yeah, good question. So we actually did, I think, around 250 mil in the last month in terms of total volume, and yeah, 10 BTC was the swap limit. I think we increased from 5 Bitcoin to 10 Bitcoin. I think because we were really confident that the system has scaled to an extent where we are able to handle these amount of swaps in individual swap limits. And when it comes to I think liquidity, yes, I think it is a challenge in the sense that when you're supporting more and more chains and more assets, um, it is important to onboard new solvers so that there is liquidity on all the chains and there is no downtime for Garden. But for now, I think we definitely got it sorted. We have a dedicated like team inside Garden who looks at liquidity strategy, making sure that we are able to support swaps at the size of 10 Bitcoin, which is almost $1 million, and be able to do it in 30 seconds. That's crazy. It's wild, right? Being able to move $1 million from anywhere to BTC chain in just 30 seconds. And that's really the kind of experience we want to create for users to be able to use on Garden. And we are currently working on onboarding more solvers into the system so that we can even increase those limits.
You mentioned the term servers. Can you do like explain me like I'm five? What exactly do servers say, play in Garden's architecture?
Yeah. So Garden is an intent solver bridge. I think this is a kind of design that almost all of the new bridges, I think over the past 2 years, are definitely pushing for in terms of design architecture. I think it's definitely one of the better ways to do it because the bridging is complex and there's a lot of information passing that needs to be done across chains. And having a very streamlined structure in which you package information will definitely make bridging all the more clean or modular, right? So that's why intents are very valuable. It's not like something new. I think across like the top bridge users it, CowSwap, who's one of the biggest dexes, also use it, and I think it's gonna be adopted by a lot of the other projects in the future. And it's a much better, cleaner way to implement, I say, exchanges. And yeah, solver is basically like a market maker. It's just another word for market maker. So I think the only difference is being a solver also involves having to build pots to actually maintain liquidity, run these swaps. So there is a bunch of technical work involved on just beyond just maintaining some liquidity.
How big is the technical team right now?
So the tech team is around 25 people right now.
25 people. That's a
Yeah.
lot. Only the technical, right?
Yes, yes.
And the whole team?
I hold teams around like 30-ish. The marketing team is very small, but we are scaling actively right now. Yeah, but tech is actually our strong suit, if you ask me. I think that's something we've been working on since we started building on Garden. We really wanted to build a very like good experience in terms of design and also how it feels for users when they're using it. So we really invested a lot on the tech side, and we've been working on that for over a year. And I think now with the launch of Act 2 a few months back, we felt like it's really a time to start pushing on the marketing front. I remember, I think you even commented on one of my posts about the BD article that I posted on Twitter. And yeah, like the marketing thing is something we are focusing on recently, where we launched a API and SDK for Garden, and the intent is all the volume, the $1 billion, 1.5 right now we've done is has completely come through our own front end. And I think the way for us to scale from this point is to meet the user where they are instead of trying to funnel them into the application itself. So we really wanted to make it as easy as possible, as plug and play as possible for anyone to build on top of Garden. So yeah, we've built like a very simple API set and SDKs, and we're currently working on getting a lot of tier one wallets and aggregators to use Garden.
Yeah, basically you are targeting more distribution.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm curious, what's your ideal, let's say, customer? Are you targeting more B2B, more institutional, more retail? Uh, oh, what's your target?
See, that's an interesting question. I talk to a lot of people regularly, and when it comes to Bitcoin, I don't think the answer is very easy because Bitcoin is kind of the gateway asset for a lot of people, and just
Yeah,
thinking,
it's like marijuana.
yeah, it's the first thing. It's the first thing people get, when they're on chain. So it's actually very difficult to pinpoint, which persona, is the Bitcoin holder. Like, because there are different, right? There is the newbie who's just getting into the space and they bought Bitcoin from a centralized exchange, right? If you can get them on chain, that is great. So that is one segment, let's say. There are people who got into the space around, let's say, 2015, 2017, 2016, who have kind of matured, so to speak, in this space, and they're very DeFi native. These people definitely have a Bitcoin holding, right? Um, and they're probably having it just in a hot wallet on BTC L1 or in a cold wallet. And like you said, all they do is they look at the price action of Bitcoin, convert to stables, and wait for it to come to a price where they come through, and then they can come buy back, right? And there are people who give it to yields. So I feel like there are so many different type of people uh, in crypto that have a strategy around Bitcoin. So it's difficult to pinpoint, okay, this is the persona. Um, it changes as the product progresses. For example, when we just went live, our user persona was someone who is used to bridging wrap Bitcoin, because at that time we only supported BTC to wrap BTC, and we were trying to figure out. See, there was no retail way to do BTC to WBTC one year ago. Bitcoin went institutional, so you have to do KYC to be able to buy any mint any new WBTC, right? So people have to do like long routes to be able to move from Bitcoin to wrap Bitcoin, and that was like a very clear niche for us, and we launched there. But over time, like we change which user persona is like the most important. um, so for us at the moment, I think two personas are most important for us. One is the B2B, where we are trying to get more people to integrate garden, so that's like a B2B kind of play. We were talking to aggregators, tier one wallets, and tier one builders to in BTC-Fi space to build on top of garden. So that's one path that we spend a lot of time on. A second path we spend a lot of time on is making garden best cost and best speed for Bitcoin, so that when we end up getting listed in aggregators, we're always on top in terms of all the options that are available, so that we reach them. And currently, Bitcoin Garden is also like best for BTC whales. I think that's what you were mentioning in the beginning about how there were 10 BTC trades happening on Garden. That's because at that scale, there is currently no Bitcoin bridge in the market that is able to do as good price as we have been able to do. That's why we generally get a lot of whale trades on Garden.
Yeah, and I feel right now, I mean, if you look at the whole crypto market, the only asset that is doing good is Bitcoin, Solana, and Hyperliquid, right? But why is doing Bitcoin so good is because they actually have institutional adoption, right? So maybe at the end of the day, it's better to target, I don't know, one institution and get part of their BTC and actually convince them to, you have all this BTC laying around. Look at all these opportunities in the DeFi space for Bitcoin, and you
Yeah,
can use Garden to go everywhere you want to go. The lowest cost and the best security out there.
exactly. Said perfectly.
Yeah, yeah, we're living interesting times. I mean, for Bitcoin especially. But I think I really feel so beyond security, beyond user acquisition. Uh, you need to have like solid UX, UI UX.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, what's the most misunderstood part of the Garden Swap UX that most users would understand?
I think at a conceptual level, just because of the tag of being a bridge, a lot of people assume that Garden wraps and unwraps Bitcoin, like the traditional bridges in the past where they used to lock BTC and then mint like a wrap Bitcoin, or like a CBBTC. Whereas Garden at a technical level is more like a DEX, in the sense that it's like an order book text where user is swapping Bitcoin for someone else's wrap Bitcoin, which is the solver. So I think that is like one misunderstood part that I've generally seen a lot of people get is Garden is like a wrapping and unwrapping kind of a bridge. I think that's kind of a notation comes from like just bridges in general. Bridges have always been looked at as that. So I think that is one. And second thing, I think is we've made a lot of updates on the UX front where we even allow people to connect both their Bitcoin and EVM wallets together on Garden, so that like they can just click swap and the whole thing just goes through. They don't have to use multiple cash tokens and all that. I think that flow is something I want more people to know about, so that it's all seamless for them.
And right now, you allow one-click swaps, wallet expansion, very smooth UI, right?
Sorry.
You so Garden right now allows one-click swaps, wallet
Yes.
expansion, a very
Yeah.
smooth UI. What design principles guided your product updates?
Okay. You mean like design principles or like generally how we decide on new features?
Yeah. Generally, I mean, I think it's very important when you design a product to make it very easy to use for everybody you are targeting, right?
Yeah, yeah. So we are actually very design first. You'll be surprised how much time goes internally in the team on the smallest of tweaks. I was actually just ideating in the morning on a new content that we should be doing on Garden's Twitter just around design, because I think that's something that is definitely lost in translation. I mean, it is seen when people interact with Garden UI and see like the experience and all that. But I think I really wanted to do a lot of content around actually the design process that we follow at Garden. Because generally, when it comes to bridges specifically, it is very anxiety inducing, right? Because you have to use multiple wallets, there is multiple cash tokens, you're losing custody in the middle, like you have to go to different mempools, like there's a mempool now, you have to go to Etherscan. It's all very complicated, and like there's a lot of anxiety in this process. And I also feel generally crypto tries to have this FOMO factor, this anxiety factor in all kinds of in all of the applications and content. And with Cardin, we really wanted to kind of move away from all that, because we actually personally feel that Cardin has a very strong PMF, right? A lot of people have Bitcoin, people want to move Bitcoin. It's very clear for us that there is PMF. So we really don't want to build an experience that is, built on general DeFi tropes. We wanted to build an experience that is very clean, very calm, and makes you feel, peaceful and secure when you're actually going through it. That's the design philosophy, and that's what we think about, every time when we are figuring out, okay, what do we add next. Um, we want people to feel very comfortable when they are swapping on Garden.
And in terms of the seed token, tell me a little. Is the token launch? Are you guys funded? What exactly is the purpose of the seed token?
Yeah. So we really wanted Garden to be a community-led project when we decided to start it. Almost 65% of the token is actually earmarked for community, through community incentive programs and whatnot. And Garden also shares portion of the fees that is generated on the UI to people who stake seed token in Garden, right? They're essentially the protocol in our minds. So that's the purpose of Garden's token seed. Seed is a way for you to get some skin in the game for real in Garden and be a part of shaping this, project. We've been doing this up until this point, and we really want to start focusing on seed a bit more, so that more people who are really interested in, what we're doing as a project and are, really like us as people, we want them to be, part of what we're doing, right? Get seed, get involved in the community, stake seed if they're interested, and even take up more roles, right? We slowly want to make it as decentralized as possible, so that the community itself is leading all of the efforts. That's the dream. I think we have to still do a lot of work there. Our focus, at least for the last 1.5 years since we went live, has been more around first, like, getting product to a baseline. I think we've achieved that. Second was to figure out distribution, so that there is like a strong scalability for, whatever we're doing at Garden. And I think this is the second one is what we're working on. And now I think we're getting close to a stage where we actually focus on getting more people into this, so that it's like a very decentralized effort.
But is the token live right now?
Yeah, it is live. It's been
Yeah,
live for, yeah, almost a year and a half. Yeah. So anyone
yeah.
can get seed if they want to and participate in the ecosystem.
How can people actually buy seed? Where can they go? On chain
It's
checks.
on chain. It's on
Oh,
chain. It's on Uniswap. You can get it on Arbitrum and Ethereum.
okay, so it's a smart contract on Arbitrum.
Yes, yes, yep.
Yes. Okay. Okay. And what about the Gardener Pass?
Nice that you bring it up. So, Gardener Pass.
Yeah.
So, Gardener Pass is something we created as like kind of a rites of passage for someone who is like knows about garden, like he's invested into it, he's done a few trades, and he really wants to be an active part of the ecosystem. So, Gardener Pass is a way for people to do that. So, I think it's around. I think it's minted if you stake 21,000 seed forever, which is essentially burning it. And that mints the Gardener Pass, which gives a few benefits for people. Whoever holds the Gardener Pass gets, I think, a 7x multiplier on the fee share that they get on a daily. So every person who has stake seed gets portion of the fees generated on Garden every week. And folks who have a Gardener Pass have a higher multiplier on the rewards that they get every week. And the rewards are in Bitcoin, by the way. Since we're a Bitcoin bridge, all of the fees generated is in Bitcoin. We actually give Bitcoin as rewards for whoever has stake seed on Garden.
Yeah. I mean, just to be honest with you, man, that when you talk about tokens, right? This should be the first thing that you do. The thing that makes the most sense. If people are hoarding your token, just give them back some of the revenue that you are making.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
most of them don't have any kind of revenue, so of course they can. What are they gonna share with you? $100 per month, split in how many users?
Right.
Yeah, but it's interesting. So basically, all the revenue is from Bitcoin. You get all the fees in Bitcoin, right?
Yeah.
Oh, no, so that's the first revenue stream. Do you have any kind of other revenue streams that you have
So
besides this?
So Garden as a team doesn't really have any revenue stream. So we're all part of the community, you could say, and we're also staked
Uh,
into Garden. Um, so Garden currently the fees that is like uh, the fees that users pay on Garden goes directly to the solvers, and solvers give back portion of the fees to seed holders.
do you have like some kind of treasury though?
It's not there's no treasury of sorts
Not
at the
no
moment.
treasury, no
Yeah.
treasury.
So
So
all the
the team are holders of seed and they are staking it. So basically, is the same mechanism if for me as a community member or you as a garden
Yeah.
team member.
Yes. Yes.
Interesting mother, interesting mother. Yeah, thanks for clearing that out. So the market right now is, let's say, interesting, and
Definitely.
we've hit Bitcoin ATH is still trading above 100k, and I want to know and I want to pick your brain. Where do you feel we are in the market cycle right now?
It's very interesting, as you said. I'm actually surprised. One thing that surprises me a lot. You can also chime in if you will. Bitcoin hits all-time high, and I was actually, wondering why none of the altcoins are following the same pattern, right? Like the main asset, in general, I feel like in crypto, when one asset, like the main asset, does really well, the rest of the altcoins also have like a very strong growth. Uh, but I'm
Yeah,
not really
but
seeing that.
yeah, that's because there are institutions' money coming into Bitcoin, right? I mean, people are not gonna buying your shit coin, right? Or whatever you're doing, and the fact that I don't know, man. Too many tokens, right?
You have too many tokens.
So what
That's
do you
true.
feel? What do you feel? Do you think like me is because of the institutions or?
Um, I think it's multiple reasons actually. institution money coming in has been a narrative for a while. Now, I think one of the bigger narratives around Bitcoin is that there are so many people pushing for BTC-Fi. VCs are funding a lot into folks who are trying to build BTC L2s, trying to capture. Uh, so, look, bunch of BTC L2s that I've talked to, it felt like they're just a place for, it's like a BD machine almost. They want to get institutions to park their Bitcoin there in the L2, and then these guys move the Bitcoin around DeFi to just generate some APY back for the institutions. Like some of the BTC L2s feel that way, while some BTC L2s feel like they're actually trying to encourage a lot of developers to build stuff. For example, Citria. I've been following Citria for a while, and Citria, like the
What's
way
that?
Citria is like a Bitcoin L2.
Oh, Citrea, Citrea. They are Turkish or something, right?
Yeah, the Turkish, yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
So, for example, these guys, like they are very dev focused. They are actually, more interested in getting a lot of builders to come and build Bitcoin native dApps on Citria blockchain. Whereas I've spoken with some other BTC L2 chains, I don't want to take names, which felt more like they just have a BD wing that is very strong. They're trying to get institutions to get a lot of Bitcoin and make them the custodian so that these guys can then just move around the TVL in different chains and try to make some APY on top. And yeah, give like some percentage of APY back to the institutions. But like they build the narrative as if they are like an BTC L2 and show like we have strong TVL, they have a token and all that.
Yeah, but that seems kind of artificial APY, right?
Um, it's up to you to think. Like let's say there is 100 Bitcoin, and these guys are moving it to a bunch of vaults, Aave vaults across different chains. How would you say that is artificial, right? They come, they are making money on Aave. They're bringing it back and giving it as APY for institutions. I think institutions more than anything, they want someone who can act as a very trustable custodian. Like they don't want to directly put Bitcoin in like DeFi instruments directly. They want someone to take that. I would maybe it's for legal or compliance reasons. They want some project or someone to take that
To take the
risk.
responsibility.
Yes, to of actually doing this. And some BTC L2s are actually doing that only. That's like the major like business for them.
You're working with Korn, right? Korn is an L2.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
I know another project that has a interesting approach. Botanix. They are basically
Yes.
Ethereum
Yes.
on
Yes.
Bitcoin. Ethereum with
Yep.
Bitcoin. Interesting approach. I'm really curious to see how exactly uh, people are actually gonna build on Bitcoin. Because Bitcoin is very slow. So
Have
uh,
one alpha for you. We are actually going
yeah.
live on Botanix next week.
You're what?
We are going live on Botanix next week.
Oh. Yeah.
So
Yeah, nice. I don't know. I didn't follow them anymore, but I know what they're kind of building, and I think it's very interesting. I'm curious to see exactly what kind of the demand it is, but maybe as you said, for institutions that wanna and
yeah,
park
yeah,
their
exactly.
their
We'll
funds
see
there.
how Botanix goes. Botanix, like the reason why we integrated, we found it very curious because I think Botanix as a native bridge takes 18 confirmations for anyone to move from Bitcoin to Botanix. That's like extremely long amount. That's almost 3 hours on average. And Garden can cut it down to 10-minute stops. And that's like the major that I felt was like a major value for users, retail users, or even anyone, institutions, projects try to move Bitcoin to Botanix. So that's why we thought it'd be interesting to run a bridge there.
Yeah, and I mean, at the end of the day, all this demand for Bitcoin is good for garden.
Yeah. Yes.
Where do you see garden in the next 10 to 12, 18 months? What's on the roadmap? You told me about botanics. What else can we expect? Do you plan to build like a chain or something? I don't know. Does it make sense for
No,
you?
no, no. That doesn't make sense for us, to be honest. Um, like I said, in the beginning, the goal is to build an experience that enables Bitcoin holders to move Bitcoin anywhere very easily and seamlessly and explore all the DeFi opportunities that is present for people. And our intent is to make it so nice that it competes with centralized exchange experience. I think that's like the north line goal for us, where we really want to build an experience that competes with centralized exchanges. So that would require more liquidity, more asset support, expansion to a lot of chains. So that is from like at a product level North Star goal. Coming to what we want to do in the next 12 to 18 months, we want to expand to more chains. We want to improve our distribution better so that Garden is experienced by a lot more users in different front ends. Kind of meeting people where they are, and also encourage new kind of experiences to be built on Garden. For example, we enabled how there is pump.fun, right?
Yeah.
So some project build pump.fun, but for runes.
Okay.
But it's not possible for them to open pools and run liquidity on Bitcoin L1 easily. So they're doing it on base chain. So Garden is enabling them to do Bitcoin to Coinbase BTC. So for users, it just looks like they're depositing Bitcoin and then they can buy runes. But in the backend, Garden is converting Bitcoin to Coinbase BTC, and with that, they are able to buy the runes. So in a way, we've enabled this pump.fun type experience for runes, and we want to help developers build more Bitcoin native experiences like this on all the ecosystems that we are supporting right now.
Since you are the CMO of Garden, I want to pick your brain and see what has been the most effective channel for you actually growing Garden. I mean, was it like going to conferences, B2B, meeting people? Was it Twitter? Was it what do you feel was best in your strategy?
Okay, that's an interesting question. I think in terms of brand building per se, I think Twitter is the best channel that you have. But I think you should start. All of us should start viewing Twitter a bit differently now. Um, we should all think of our profiles on Twitter as kind of like a landing page or for people. So when people come across your Twitter profile, it should tell a very clear story of what exactly you are, and whatever information that you want to instill in them. So it has to be very deliberate. Every post you make has to be very deliberate, and that means having a very strong grip on exactly what you want to put in your content. And if you do that, I think Twitter is like still the best platform to build a strong audience for you. And when it comes to so this is one side of the coin. I like to think of Twitter as the top of the funnel. It is top of the funnel for a lot of people.
Especially
And
crypto native.
yeah, crypto native people. And when it comes to actually building relationships with people, I think even then Twitter is a great way to build relationships. Like if you are a person, a marketer, you can do a lot of reply guy activity, right? There are other marketers on crypto, trying to talk about themselves, share the work they're doing. So get to know about them there. So it's still top of the funnel. Like even at a B2B level, I always feel Twitter is top of the funnel. That's where you interact with people in public, so they're comfortable interacting with you in replies or whatever. And once you've gone to a point where they've noticed your name multiple times, I think then they would be more likely to respond to your DM. Or when you bump across them in a conference, um, they're more likely to talk to you. Even further, like let's say you've replied on my stuff a few times, and you send me a message saying, hey, you see my post saying I'm gonna be coming token 2049, and just yo, I'm also gonna be coming there. I'm more likely to actually meet you because I've actually seen you put some comments on my stuff multiple times. So I know I can at least trust you a little bit. Like this is the space in this space, like trust is very difficult to come by. So yeah, like use Twitter as your top of the funnel, even while building relationships is what I feel. And a lot of BD folks follow a very like numbers approach to BD where it's like, okay, I'm gonna send a outreach message to 100 people. Let's see how many convert. I don't think that works because crypto is like a still like a bubble. It's like a very small niche. Like there are only a handful of people, if you really start counting. So a more personalized approach of getting to know someone works more than like just like random outreach. What do you think? You also been in the space for a really long time.
Yeah, I mean, whenever I see a message on Telegram that I know it is automated to
Yeah,
another
exactly.
100 people, I don't even bother to respond because I see, I mean, I get like messages for, we are an auditing company. I mean, I'm doing infrastructure. Why would I need an auditing company, you know? So when I see those kind of messages, I know from the start it's an automated message, so maybe it works, maybe it doesn't work. As you said, I don't think cold outreach works anymore.
Yeah,
I kind of DM people from chains. I don't get that better results lately, and I talk to other like validator friends. They have the same issue. But what I feel that works in the long term is actually building connections with people, but at a personal level. That's
yeah,
not gonna die. You actually put in effort in knowing the people that you work with.
exactly. I totally agree with you because it's also very ironic that in the space that is meant to be like very digital, actually, meeting on a personal level is when like things are solidified. But maybe that's human nature in general. Like people actually trust people after they meet them or even see their face in a video call.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like these small things really matter.
Yeah, you can't build trust only with people DMing you on Telegram. I've seen people doing it, but it's not my. I don't see myself doing that. I mean,
Okay.
yeah, I mean, I like to meet the people face to face. I like talking with you. I want to know about you. I want to know why I can work with you. So that works for me. Clearly, that works for you also.
Yeah.
We have though something in common because you work with a lot of ecosystems. I work with a lot of ecosystems. We work with a lot of ecosystems. So how do you localize marketing to resonate with each community, because each community has a different approach?
Yeah, I think that's actually very important. When you are planning to integrate with a new chain, it is very, very crucial to spend good quality time understanding that ecosystem, right? How do they work? What are the projects that are built there? What are the opportunities that exist for people in that ecosystem? How is the token doing? What is the community like? Go and hang out in the community for a couple of days. See what are the things they talk about. That actually helps you figure out exactly what kind of a strategy works for your content, for your messaging, and also if you need to run some kind of a campaign. I'll give you an example. We recently launched on Korn, and when we looked at their community, we realized that like the major persona in that community was very degen. It was a very degen type of community. And then we were thinking, what's an interesting way to get their attention? So we actually made a game called Conhub, and the game is just we have a mascot called Bud, and it's just a bird in a field catching corn falling from the sky, and that's it. That's the game, and we named it Cornhub so that it's like a wordplay on Pornhub, and people is gonna be curious to see, what is this game? Does it have some incentives? Am I gonna get something out of it? So a lot of things play in their mind. So we felt it would be, very interesting to launch our integration on Corn with this game because Yeah, it's just like you try to understand the nature of the people who are in a community and try to do things that is like close to how they operate, and that's why we launched the game. For we never done that before, but for that launch, it's only we did a game. But for example, someone like Unichain, which is much more professional, they're very DeFi native. We went with a very straightforward approach to launch.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be very dynamic in your approach
Yeah.
to be like this because yeah, but I like your style. I mean, I feel like your style is more degen like on your social media profile. That's what I liked. It's everything
Okay.
is lowercase, right? And
Yes. Yes.
yeah, I like that style. Me personally, I don't know if that's the best when I don't know you're targeting institutions. But yeah, I like the style a lot.
Yeah. I think we're definitely targeting DeFi native people only through the Twitter as a brand, at least because Twitter for us is for a place to connect with people, not with institutions. I think that's something that
Yeah.
is out of Twitter, if you ask me.
Yeah. Makes sense. Makes sense. I mean, yeah, institutions don't hang around on city, right?
Exactly.
It's just replying and shit posting.
Exactly.
Um,
But it's
uh,
also fun in games. It's fine. I think it's just a channel for people to chat with each other. It's okay. I think it's good for people.
when do you feel like every projects don't need to spend money on ads, influencers, KOL campaigns, and all that?
So, okay, this is an interesting thing. I think it needs to be used when it needs to be used, not all the time. So, let's say you are launching into a new chain. No need to do a press release, no need to do a KOL campaign, and all that, right? See, these are all tools. I think an important characteristic of a good marketeer is to know when to use a certain tool. Just using it because you have a budget is just gonna you know dry up the runway very quickly and then you're out.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense exactly just to spend money because you have money to spend.
And I think, yeah, like I feel like marketers should be very conscious if because like I feel like we've overpriced everything in crypto so much, um, to the extent that it's like we are pricing out bootstrapped players out of the ecosystem. Like there is some project trying to bootstrap into this into crypto. Like you're pricing them out of all the marketing tools because of how expensive they are, just because of how much demand uh, there is. Yeah, I think it's gonna get better though. Like crypto, I don't know. People can disagree with me. I feel like it is going to a place where it's a bit more mature as a space, and an effect of the space maturing is people realize, like a lot of people realizing that these tools shouldn't be like overused. Like for example, in the beginning, like I think like a year and a half, 2 years ago, everyone used to respect KOLs a lot. Say, oh, you have to get the KOL to post and everything. But now people see, like marketers know KOLs for what they are. Like not all KOLs are good. There is bot farms, there is paid engagement and all this. So
Yeah,
people
they
are much
don't
more
have that
vigilant.
credibility anymore.
Yes,
And that's because they got greedy. When you get greedy, you
yeah,
just get the money and advertise any shit. You don't do any
exactly.
due diligence, you don't do anything. So that's why, key opinion leader, but most of the time, shit opinion leader.
Exactly. That's true for most of the people, that have this tag of a KOL. And I think if like the real KOLs, the real KOLs will never shill anything for money.
Yeah, true. Of course, there's gonna be like the blue chip KOLs, and that's good. So, as I've mentioned earlier, I really want to know the people I'm talking about because I'm
Yeah.
just curious in that way. So, I want to know that if is there a lesson that you learned the hard way while trying to grow garden.
Yeah. I think one lesson we learned, I think very early on, was that Token and product are two different, like they're two very different things, right?
The token can kill your product
Yeah,
if you play it bad.
exactly. Right. We always put like product like a level over the token, and we saw it as like, oh, it's like part of the uh, product itself. But like we slowly realized, I think, garden as a product attracts a different type of people. The token attracts a different type of people, like because someone who is moving 10 bitcoin, like a BTC whale, they operate in a different level. They are interested in different things. They might like garden as a product, they might use the bridge, but their strategy of what they want to do and everything is different. So that's when we realize, like, people who are part of a community don't necessarily have to be your users, right? Your community is more about your brand, your philosophy, and someone resonating with that, and want to grow with you. I think that was a major learning, at least for me, and that like helped us understand exactly how we should be thinking about token and how we should be thinking about community.
And I want to know, what does success look like to you personally? I mean, beyond metrics, beyond volume. How do you see? How does the dude see success?
It's a very intense question. All of a sudden, uh, yeah, I think for me, success is just to be able to do whatever I can, like whatever I dream and want to do. Just being able to do that, I think, is success. For example, I think 4 years ago, if you would ask me, like, you'll be at a point after 4 years where you actually willed a project into existence, right? Just because you wanted to, you've met a few people, and together you've built something from scratch, and now it's like a giant thing. Just this experience of building something from scratch, I don't think 4 years ago I would have imagined or been able to do anything like this. So I think, yeah, that's one thing that I've gained over the past few years, is the confidence that if I really wanted to do something, I can. And yeah, for me, that is success, in the sense that having that freedom to do whatever you can.
Yeah, and for me, success is all working in this space because it's a fast moving space, it's not
Yeah.
for everybody. And if you are here for at least 3 years, at least 1.5 years, I mean, that's a lot, man, because
Yeah.
it's very hard to stay focused and grounded and actually building stuff, traveling around the world, talking with people, different cultures. So you really need to be very organized and very focused. So,
Yeah.
do you have like any habits that you use to stay focused and grounded? Do you do like I don't know? Do you do sports? Do you meditate? Do you do journaling? Go out in the nature? Are you that kind of guy?
Yeah, we actually promote a lot in garden, where we like touch grass, spend less time bridging, and more time going out, chilling in the open, go for a walk in the garden and stuff like that. And yeah, I think it is very important to have some habits and things that is completely like anti crypto, in the sense that they're out of Twitter, out of everything. Otherwise it's hard. It's definitely hard, like you get stuck in so much noise. Yeah, like for me, some things I do is I usually try to not be active on Twitter out of, I have like my strict work hours, and I try to not stay active on Twitter out of the work hours, where I'm trying to hang with family, or go out, go to the gym or something. That's because I feel like in crypto, the narratives are made by people, right? And as someone who is in the space for a long time, it's important for us to kind of just take a step back and just see, okay, what is the noise, what is the signal, and then it is on us to build the narrative, is what I feel like. We are the builders of the narrative, in a way. So Like sometimes I can see when I'm looking at narrative, it's like, oh, this narrative is BS. It's just being made up. Or I can actually tell, okay, I think there is some sense to this. I think that comes when you can just shut everything off, take a step back, and just like review everything in your mind.
It's very hard. It's very easy to get trapped in the rabbit hole.
Yes. Yeah.
We are now entering the last chapter of the podcast, and
Nice.
we want to wrap things up with some rapid fire questions to get a sense
Sure,
of
sure.
where his head at when it comes to crypto. But for these ones, just quick top of the mind answers. What do you feel is the most underrated and overrated trend in crypto right now?
Ooh, underrated is hard. Okay, overrated, I'm already thinking AI agents. Because AI agents is a tool, not a should not be
You
a
know,
narrative.
yeah. Top three crypto apps or tools that you actually use.
Okay, three things are coming to my mind: CowSwap, DeFi Llama, and OpenSea.
What's one crypto opinion you've completely changed your mind on this past year?
On yield farming.
Advice for marketers entering the rabbit hole of crypto.
Um, Build in public, like yeah, market in public. Try to learn actively on Twitter. Don't like Twitter in a way is your CV. To, like in crypto, if you're someone you're flying for a job and you're actually sending in a PDF CV, you lost the plot. Like Twitter is everything. Twitter is your CV. Twitter is where you show all of your like proof of work, everything. Yeah.
Yeah, that's personal brand, man. It's very hard to do it. One book, movie, person, could be crypto, non-crypto, podcast, everything. Somebody that actually shaped your way to lead and think today.
Uh, it's multiple people. It's never one person. But yeah, if I have to pick one person, I think it would be the dude. That's why I have the name dude. And if you see my Twitter, it's the dude bytes. That's
Yeah,
uh,
man.
that's like the baseline for my philosophy throughout anything in life.
Yeah, it's to be honest, it's very hard to be the dude in crypto. I mean, to be
Yeah.
just so laid back.
I think the
Yeah.
laid backness comes from knowledge. The laid backness doesn't come from just like not caring about anything. It comes from like learning something deep enough to have the like thought process set so that you can lay back and like just understand everything.
And before we end this and you wrap everything up with the dude, where can people follow Garden and get involved?
Yeah, best place to start is the website. Just go to garden.finance and yeah, go through the landing page, see if you're resonating with everything. And if you are, follow us on Twitter, join the Discord community. I'm always there. You can hang with the dude and we can talk about all the chill stuff.
Man, thanks for hopping in. I mean, I really had a great time.
Likewise, man.
Have a great one, bro.
Nice, nice. See you.